Thank you, Phil, and thank you for the invitation. And I apologize now for my bad English. For this reason, I prefer to read my intervention. Now, we start with a short presentation about the forests and forestry in Italy. According to the latest available inventory, forests in Italy occupy more than a third of the surface, registering a significant increase over time. Forests were very reduced after the First World War, following the construction of the railways and the autarkic policies, reaching the all-time low after the Second World War. Over the last 10 years, the average increase in the Italian forest area has been approximately 4,000 hectares per year. The surface of the forest is distributed in equal parts between coppices and high forests, while the forests managed with even-aged structures amount to about 3/4 of the forest. The coppices are managed almost exclusively with the uniform release of standards, with about 100-200 standards per hectare. In general, the average annual increase in volume is just over 4 cubic meters per hectare, while wood exploitations are much lower. Depending on the estimation method taken into consideration, the percentage ratio between wood harvest and annual volume increase varies between 18 and 37%. At the end of the Second World War, the Italian forests were very degraded because of intensive use and widespread grazing. So, the low collection rates are also linked to the need to increase the wood stock's presence in the forests. Regarding the organization of the forest sector, in Italy, the legislative power on forests has been transferred from the states to the regions or the autonomous provinces in Trento and Bolzano. The environmental and the landscape protection policies, on the other hand, remain with the states, and this entails a complex and often contradictory regulatory framework. Furthermore, over the years, the different regions have developed very different policies, and this has led to the need to review the national reference framework in 2018. Among the indications contained in this national document, we want to highlight the prohibition of clear cuts, the prohibition of transformation from forest areas to other types of land use, the prohibition of transformation from high forests to coppices. However, these prohibitions can be overcome in exceptional cases, but with very long and complex authorization procedures. Furthermore, the natural regeneration of forestry is promoted. It should, however, be highlighted that in recent decades, artificial regeneration has been used exclusively in particular cases, for example, following particularly devastating storms. Turning now to the promotion of irregular silvicultural management in Italy, which is one of the priority objectives of ProSilva Italy, I would like to underline some aspects that we consider particularly important in Italy and beyond. The first aspect is connected to the growing attention by public opinion to biodiversity and nature conservation topics. This aspect, and the other points of this slide also, represents at the same time an opportunity but also a threat. On one hand, it should bring a greater interest in forest management, more careful to these questions. But on the other hand, it can lead to seeing all the forestry activities as an attack to the wilderness areas. The second aspect on which to pay attention is connected to the climatic changes and their effect on the stability and structure of the forests, while the third aspect is linked to the increasing marginalization of the rural areas, but from an economical and social point of view. Changes in the world markets for wood products and the increase in wildlife are other reasons for promoting irregular forestry management, but at the same time, it's necessary to consider how to manage these dynamics. For example, avoiding excessive use in the presence of favorable economic conditions and ensuring adequate regeneration that could be problematic even in the presence of its widespread distribution. The last point is closely related to the first, focusing on the contrast between forest management and non-management. In order to transform the threats into opportunities, we therefore believe it's particularly important to investigate the effects of the close-to-nature forestry compared with the traditional forestry. For this reason, we believe it's particularly important to increase researches and experimentations on these topics, especially for the forests of the Mediterranean area and for coppice systems, which have peculiar aspects and problems compared with other situations widespread, especially in Central Europe. Equally important is increasing and improving the communication of the principle of silviculture to stakeholders and more generally to non-experts people. Regarding the possible collaboration between ProSilva Italy and Irregular Forestry Association, it's possible to carry out research or dissemination activity in the ProSilva Italy exemplary forests. Today, we have 6 exemplary forests where the principles of close-to-nature forestry are applied, at least in part. Other exemplary forests are being under definition. ProSilva Italy also promotes the good practices identified within the LIFE project GoPro4. Within this project, 5 martelloscopes were built according to the integrated standard, and another 5 martelloscopes are under construction. Within these areas, training and research activities on irregular silvicultural management have already been carried out, also together with ProSilva Italy. But it will certainly be possible to use them for other activities in collaboration with the Irregular Forestry Association. To conclude, within the GoPro4 project, as part of the afterlife activities, we are trying to establish an educational forest on irregular silvicultural management and the conservation of the forest biodiversity. The extension of this forest, probably in Tuscany, will be around 200-300 hectares. That's all. Thanks to everybody.